Well, let's get to the phone lines. We've got Bob on the line. Hey there, Bob. What's your question tonight?
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bill. How you doing?
Hey, man.
Pat, my uncle, he came out of the state university as an engineer, and his job was to inspect school buildings and other buildings that the state had. And I never smoked a cigarette or anything like that in his life, but he got lung cancer about 45 years old and died. So I thought he was exposed to asbestos in his 20s, and when he was working for the state, and he died at 44 years old. How long do you have a claim with asbestos? Is it a short period of time, or is it a long period of time, or what?
That's a great question. Yeah. I mean, what's the statute of limitations on something like that?
Right. Like that? Well, in asbestos, it's a little bit different from the general brunt of personal injury and wrongful death cases. We have out-of-court settlements in place where people who died, say, several years ago, well beyond 3 years ago, if they died from primary lung cancer, primary colon cancer, we can get them compensation through settlements from companies that are in bankruptcy if we can show that they were exposed to products made by those companies, and that's our job to do that. The statute of limitation generally is to file in court is 2 to 3 years. In Alabama, it's 2 years from the date of death, and there are some states that I file in where the statute of limitation for death cases is 3 years for asbestos cases. People with mesothelioma it's 3 years from the date of diagnosis for the out-of-court settlements we have in place. They need to call us as soon as possible. You don't want to wait beyond 3 years from the date of diagnosis.
And so for 3 years from the time of the death, even if it takes you longer to make the connection, as it sounds like maybe in Bob's case, that it may have actually been asbestos,
That's correct. Well, the exception is mesothelioma. It's with the out-of-court settlements we have in place is strictly 3 years from the date of first diagnosis of mesothelioma. The exception to that are lung cancer and colon cancer can be, there is actually the out-of-court settlements, there is no actual cutoff for how far back we can go for somebody who died from those. The question is, can we still get the medical record that show they had colon or lung cancer, and can we develop the product evidence to show that they were exposed to that company's asbestos product?
Are these usually filed in state or federal court?
These claims are actually filed in the bankruptcy court system that was set up by federal courts throughout the United States, primarily in Delaware. But it's a system of claim filing that is unique to asbestos litigation. There's 2 avenues of compensation in asbestos. You can file in court, but you can also file out of court for these out of court settlements where we have agreements in place with these companies.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of ads. You see a lot of ads for,
Sure.
do you have mesothelioma? And
Right.
why is there just the
Well,
proliferation
it's like any other case. People are jumping on. They're trying. Just like Camp Lejeune or car wrecks, or when a law firm that specializes in a particular area, they are they're going to advertise and especially these out-of-town law firms. You see a lot of asbestos lawyers on TV, but they're not from here, unlike Mr. Cahey here, who's in Alabama. So I would always encourage stay with someone local, because again, if you call someone that's in New Jersey or California, they are simply going to try to find you a lawyer in your area. So you need to have someone in this area that represents you and knows the lay of the land.